And so I'm gonna jump into the book here. You spent your first tour in Vietnam. I think it was your first tour in Vietnam. You were flying the Mohawk.
Right.
Okay. So first tour in Vietnam. And by the way, we were talking before the podcast about how much risk you guys took in Vietnam as pilots. It's actually crazy. We'll get into more of that. But one of the things that struck me is I'm in the beginning of your book, and you're talking about how you got shot down on your first deployment to Vietnam.
I did.
As a pilot. So here's you telling that story to your crew when you're going your second deployment, that you said, yeah, the first couple operations we've done here, they've been pretty exciting. But, I had some good ones on my last deployment too. By the way, I got shot down. And so here, I'm going to go to the book here. This is what happened when you got shot down for the first time. Took a 37 millimeter anti-aircraft hit in the right wing, attacking a fuel depot hidden under the trees. Classified mission in Laos over the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I pulled up from a rocket run. Wham! The whole right side of the aircraft seemed to explode. We tumbled out of control. The right wing shattered and was on fire. Worked it hard. Got back some ability to fly. Got the fire out. But we were descending fast. Could not hold altitude. Gave the command to eject. The observer went out. I pulled my seat handle right after. I had a very short parachute ride, only got partial chute deployment before hitting the ground with a thud. We were crashing through the treetops by the time I punched out. So for those people that don't know what all that means right there, that means, when you pull an ejection handle on a when you're in a plane, it ejects you out. But you're supposed to do it with some level of altitude,
right?
Not when you're hitting the treetops. So you're hitting the treetops and the canopy not opening all the way. That means that the full usage of the parachute isn't there. It's just sort of getting opened and then boom, hits the ground.
My wingman took a picture of my shoot down site, and you can see the parachute is just all strung out, and I'm laying there at the end of the parachute. I mean, I never got a single oscillation. I got a partial chute deployment and hit the ground.
I'm glad we can sit here and laugh at this. Am I offending you by laughing at this? I hope not.
No, you're not, because you made a comment about taking the hits and the intensity of combat, and it really was. But there's something crazy about young men, and at that point in my life, I was a kid living a dream, and I got blown out of the sky on my first tour. Yes, I survived it, and somehow, in my crazy, twisted mind, I couldn't wait to get back over on a second tour flying Cobra attack helicopters.
By the way, so this is what happens once you get on the ground. Here we go, back to the book. Then I was nearly captured. I ran through the jungle 45 minutes while my wingman put down suppressive fire. That earned me the nickname Lightfoot. Got plucked out of the jungle by an Air Force helicopter from the 20th Special Operations Squadron out of Thailand called the call sign Pony Express. Spent some time in the hospital there. Eventually I returned to the unit, back to flight duties. This is incredible. We lost 15 airplanes at that point out of 18. 30 crew members shot down. Not many of them ever recovered. I was one of the few. Lousy odds. I was scared then, I'll tell you. If you don't get scared in combat, you're a liar or nuts. Only after a tense mission is over does the real fright come. When there's time to sit and think, you watch it all play out in your mind and wonder how the hell you lived through something like that. So again, we were talking before we pressed record about about how protective America is of its aircraft right now. I can't even imagine you guys had 15 out of 18 airplanes that were shot down. That's insane.
And that was a sophisticated, expensive aircraft for the Army at the time. The Mohawk was pretty much top of the line technology Army aircraft then. So yeah.
Very, that's a totally different mentality than we have now. Totally different mentality.
Yeah, and that was a special unit. We had 5 Mohawk companies in Vietnam at that time. 4 of them were for each of the 4 core tactical zones inside of South Vietnam. They flew missions in support of those areas. We were the 5th company, the bastard company. We flew out of Hue Phu Bai, The only time we saw South Vietnam was for takeoffs and landings. All of our missions were into Laos or up off the coast of North Vietnam.
Wow.
And then I had one highly classified one I had to deploy down to Tan Son Nhut at Saigon to go into Cambodia that I didn't know what that was all about. It was really hush-hush at the time. That was in the advance of the big Cambodia incursion that took place in 70.
Did they develop the Mohawks for Vietnam? Because it's an interesting aircraft. It's a side-by-side,
Right.
and it's a prop plane, too.
Yeah, twin turbo prop, built purely for reconnaissance and surveillance, Grumman aircraft.
But then you guys went ahead and put missiles on them, or rockets,
Well,
right?
we put rockets, and there were
on 'em.
Zuni missiles. But yeah, we had rockets and pod-mounted machine guns. That led to my Cobra experience, because that was my favorite mission, were the gun missions in the Mohawk. Not all of them were armed, but I liked the gun missions. When I came back from my first tour, there was a spat between the Army and the Air Force, and the result of the spat was we had to take all the armament off the Mohawks. So when I went back on second tour, I wanted to go in a gunship, not something without guns, so that got me into Cobras.
Yeah, that's weird. Those bureaucratic spats happen and decisions like that get made. That's really disturbing.